Hi, my name is Emma Hodge, and this is an overview of my Future of the Book assignment, which is the case for holographic and projection mapped books. This was for LIBS 609, and essentially the assignment was to think about the future of the book and the library and basically analyze what technology or what a library might look like down the line from now in the semi near future. So, as an overview, I talked a lot about the digitization of books becoming popular and essentially how that translated over into holographs and holograms and projection mapping. Because I essentially wanted to prove that the technology is there, it's just not utilized in the way it could be for something like this. We had to present to stakeholders. So I listed what type of person the stakeholders might include and what the goal was in the presentation of presenting to the stakeholders. And I basically just went through and introduced the technology and what it is. So I defined what projection mapping is. I included direct examples from popular things like the Van Gogh Museum that's been really popular recently to like college projects that were worked on while I was in school. Um, and then I also wanted to show what a hologram was because there is a difference between holograms and projection mapping, but the two would work fairly seamlessly together. So I explained the definition of a hologram. I gave an example of what it might look like in use. And then I sort of explained how I see that technology being implemented into libraries. So my main example for projection mapping was something similar to a story walk, except for the book would be projected onto one of those little book platforms instead of being like pre-printed onto it. And then same thing with like the integration of a hologram. Um, you know, this technology is a little more out there than the projection mapping, but it could be a possibility not too far from now. So I wanted to explain that yes, it is possible. Um, but again, it's a little more complicated because while the technology exists, other forms of holography are not yet available to the public. A lot of them are being researched at places like MIT. Um, I also wanted to explain the research that MIT is doing. And then I wanted to focus on why I chose technology in general, because I think a lot of times technology can sort of be well, yeah, obviously. However, um, given the use of programs like Libby or Cloud Library or Hoopla or any kind of online reading platform, Kindle, Kobo, anything like that, I don't think it's that far out there to predict that at some point the lines between the art of reading and then actual art combined with technology will be feasible. And then I did give an example of a library that's really popular. So the Bibliotech Library in San Antonio has gone completely digital already. So it's really not that out there to think that at some point in time, even if books become less of a physical thing in an institution, it'll just translate to a different format. And then I just explained why, and I explained the funding. Obviously, the funding is going to be the most important part of this because it's very expensive, at least right now. So MIT is being supported by Sony, but that's not to say that a library couldn't be supported by another grant or some type of funding. And then I did follow up with what the stakeholders can do. So I listed each stakeholder, what they might want to talk about when they're promoting this kind of technology in a library. And then I did talk about next steps. So, how or if the technology will be implemented, and then if it does, how it will be implemented, and what type of content they would acquire, how everything would be set up, because obviously it would include a more intense IT perspective. Um, And then also things like training staff members, promoting the launch of it. And then obviously there will be regular maintenance and support because technology isn't perfect, as we all know. So I thought it was really important to mention that as well before mentioning that at some point, ideally, it would expand to more institutions. So yeah, in conclusion, it's possible. It's very expensive, but the technology is there, and I don't think it's that far out there that it exists at some point in the next like 50 to 100 years. And there is my works cited. So thank you for watching.